Pandemic Studios was a wonderful developer that is no longer with us because of EA closing them down. I am still bitter that we never saw a sequel to the underrated Saboteur. They made great games from Mercenaries, Destroy All Humans, and Full Spectrum Warrior, while also having their hand in some of the most beloved Star Wars games. LucasArts gave them the keys to make a Battlefield-like game set in both the original and prequel trilogies. Both games were a delightful mix of nostalgia, fan service, and great gameplay. But the Battlefront titles were not the only Star Wars games that Pandemic had a hand in. Before all of that, they had worked on a game that acted as both a movie tie-in game and a sequel to Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Sadly, it gets overlooked by the larger Battlefront titles, but it still deserves more attention. It is a really good arcade action game with plenty of gameplay variety. Today I want to dive into the first few levels and explore how the Clone Wars effectively hooks the player by putting them into the Battle of Geonosis. Level 1 starts off with the traditional opening Star Wars crawl. We see the Republic fleet approaching Geonosis as Mace Windu launches a surgical strike before the main assault. Mace and his ally are tasked with taking out the orbital guns, allowing for the fleet to move in. We then observe our characters use their Jedi starfighters to remove some turrets, and then the gameplay begins. For most of the first level, we get to control the Republic tank. Its main laser guns have infinite ammo, and it can fire deadly missiles as well, but you'll need to pick up more once you run out. The action here is very pick up and play, and I like the optional boost on the tank to help you get out of a tough situation. The aiming is very arcadey in that you only really need to be facing the enemy you want to shoot at. You won't need to worry about precision shooting, though you can opt to zoom in to better hit faraway targets. Most of this level has you blowing up various buildings and vehicles, and it's a good representation of what most of the game is like. The explosions are nice, but what really sells the action is how many of the vehicles will flip around when you destroy them. It is a nice effect and adds more satisfaction to the gameplay. For a short bit of variety, towards the end of the level, you will exit your tank and control Windu on foot. Here we get some lightsaber action and access to some limited force powers. I really like how the first level in the Clone Wars starts off before the big battle and shows the build up to it from a perspective that we did not get to see from the film. We know the battle is coming, and this allows the game to build that tension which will eventually explode in level 3. This first level makes a strong case for the fun tank action. It is really simple to get into and very enjoyable. I do like how the cutscenes give some attention to the Jedi starfighter, but I wish that this was an actual gameplay portion rather than only a cutscene. I know that there was a Jedi starfighter game that came out during this generation, but being able to fly the Jedi starfighter in this game would have allowed for even more ship variety. While the Clone Wars provides a good amount of vehicle variety throughout the campaign, from speeder bikes to walkers, more variety here would have been even better. Now I have some issues with the lightsaber combat. I do like the destruction and power that you get from your strikes along with force push, but controlling a Jedi is very, very clunky. The lightsaber stuff in this game is best used in very short bursts. The first level is really solid and begins the setup of the main battle on Geonosis. I also like how you are controlling Mace Windu since he is a very interesting side character and gets more time to shine at the start of this game. Level 2 picks up with Mace Windu needing to clear a landing pad to make way for the Jedi and clone reinforcements. The level is entirely focused on the Republic tank, and again, it's really fun. Your main objective is to guard the Allied convoys as they make their way to the arena to save Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme. We fight many of the same enemies from the last mission, from enemy tanks, turrets, and even some new spider bots that can take more hits. Level 2 acts as a continuation of Level 1 in how it builds the tension to the bigger battle. It also shows how the game knows how to appropriately break up the action nicely. Sometimes we may get levels where we are switching between vehicles or even gameplay styles, like playing as a Jedi like in the first level, or others that are more like this level which are more narrow and more focused on one type of gameplay. Both have their advantages and work well for the Clone Wars. Levels 1 and 2 pulls the player in with solid gameplay, as it builds to the main event in Level 3. Pandemic did a good job with this as it helps the player feel like they had a direct role in rescuing the main heroes from the prequel films. Level 3 is the main event of the introduction, where the game concludes as a movie tie-in game, and after this it acts like a direct sequel. You start out as Mace Windu on foot and get to participate in some lightsaber action. Thankfully this part is really short as you fight to the gunship. Now this section is the main star of the level and maybe even the game. Anytime you get to control a gunship, the level is just a perfect power trip. This is like controlling a heavy tank that you can fly. You have your main laser guns, rockets, and homing green lasers that obliterate anything they hit. There's a handful of levels in the game and each one is great. Following this part, you return back to the tank combat, and the level is concluded with a decent boss fight. This is what the first two missions were building up to, and this mission delivers. I love how you get to experience this one battle from 3 different perspectives. You get to appreciate the scale of the fight from the ground during the lightsaber and tank sections, as the clone troopers and droids are fighting while observing the ships that are flying in the air. The gunship allows for you to experience the same battle, now from the air, along with having the power of this ship. Like I said before, Pandemic did a good job of including more focus levels, with one gameplay option along with levels like this that allow for up to 3 different types of gameplay. The change up here works great since the entire level is one big set piece. I have spoken about this before with other games, but games that can effectively hook the player within the first 30 minutes to an hour are really hard to put down. Now this doesn't mean that every game needs to do this. Some games have a rocky start and then continually improve as you go deeper with them, but when a game can quickly grab the player and suck them in, they deserve a lot of praise. The Clone Wars does this through its gameplay by allowing the player to experience a famous battle from the film, but from a different perspective. I am all for games recreating movie moments. Some of my favorite levels in the Rogue Squadron games comes from them perfectly recreating sequences like the Trench Run, but I also like when a game can expand on the film it's based on, and go beyond just re-showing us moments from the film. This entire game felt like Pandemic's testing ground for the Battlefronts. I like to think that this is the game that got them that job. And on its own, it's a really good Star Wars game that holds up pretty well. While I only covered the first 3 missions here, I would highly recommend trying this if you haven't. It doesn't get brought up enough when good Star Wars games are discussed, and it is available on the Xbox through backwards compatibility. If you are interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description, and thank you very much for watching.